prepared remarks because I wanted to come at this discussion from a very personal perspective. I was raised in a very devout Catholic household. I went to Catholic boarding school for 4 years, and I'm a non-believer, but I'm a non-believer who's always been sort of, for many years, on the fence, sort of questioning and with a lot of uncertainty. I come to CHOW a lot. There are talks that I've come to that I've agreed with a lot and found really interesting, and there are talks that I've found very interesting and have disagreed with very profoundly, but I've still appreciated what CHOW does and the space that CHOW provides to have dialogue. And I think that there's a lot in common, I suppose, between some of the things that I think are important and the discussions we have here and some of the things that I strongly believe in. So I moved to Canada at the age of 18, and by then I wouldn't say that I had a loss of faith already by then, but I would say, because I am from Rwanda, and the Catholic Church in Rwanda has a rather murky history during the genocide, and that shook up my faith a lot. But my father is a very devout Catholic, and the one thing that I've taken, I suppose, from him is about and he's somebody who was quite, I don't know what the right word is, he was obviously very upset by what happened in Rwanda, lost family in Rwanda, stopped going to Mass for a long time, and has gone back to Mass, and he's a very devout Catholic. And the thing that I've learned from him is that it's very much about his personal faith, and it's very much about love. And that's something that, even though I left the church, the things that I've been taught about love, I still find the same, whether you are agnostic, atheist, or a believer. As long as we continue to have this dialogue and meet where we can meet, where there are a lot of things that I believe I'm not articulating about us, I think, that are the same. There's a lot about the church about churches in general and traditional churches that I still find difficult, and that make it difficult for me to be a believer. Some of the things have been touched on by the other panelists. I believe in gay marriage, for instance. I believe in women should be bishops, but I also, at the same time, see that it is arrogant for me, a non-believer outside the church, to have a view on who should be the leader of the church. So it's complicated for me. I can't really, though, discard everything that I grew up with and that I learned. I think that there is a lot about churches that I still find very attractive. I hadn't gone to Mass for many years, but since I've moved to Jersey, and didn't know very many people in Jersey, and I have 2 young children, I found that the playgroups, for instance, where I took my young children, the warmest, loveliest, sort of friendliest places for me were run by churches. And I've sort of since then gone to Mass twice. I've gone to the town church once. My son goes to a Catholic school. So I remain, it's a complicated relationship where I remain an agnostic, but with an openness to listening, to dialogue, and very often, which may sound sort of wishy-washy, but very often when I hear the things that atheists and agnostics say about the church, I think that there is something there, and it's good to listen to it. Some of the flaws that they discuss are serious, I think, and they should be acknowledged, such as what happened in Rwanda, for example. But I also think that within atheism there can be I don't think that fundamentalism is isolated to religion. I think fundamentalism can be held by atheists. I joined an atheist group in Toronto for a little while. I met very passionate people with a strong social conscience, but there was also something lacking in it for me. There was such a certainty, which for me, I can't seem to find that certainty that's, a mere sort of, I'm here for a brief amount of time, and I have access to certain information, and to make such a firm decision about the reason of God and things like that, I just cannot make that sort of jump. So I focus on what we have in common. I believe strongly in the dignity of all human beings, and that's something that I've often found that sort of overlaps with people, not just Christians, but people of other faiths as well. There is a strong emphasis on community engagement and our responsibility to each other, which I find sometimes lacking out there in a secular world. There is a strong attention within faith communities to social justice issues like poverty. I think there's a lot of inequality in the world that we live in, and I appreciate the role that faith communities bring to those issues, while at the same time having great difficulty with the other strongly held beliefs I have that clash with what I see as churches. So that's where I am. I hope it doesn't sound very sort of all over the place, because that truly is where I feel with it. It might come off like that, but that's where I am with it, sort of questioning, uncertain, but open, and I love coming to CHOW.